Hey, everybody, welcome to another episode of The Reel Debaters. This week on the show, Ben Williams, filmmaker, film fester, fantastic human being extraordinaire. Ben Williams is a local Manitoba filmmaker, specifically specialized in digital filmmaking, who has, excuse me, that's not COVID, I swear. Who has got a new film festival coming out in 2021. It's called the 48 Film Fest. And in short, it's a Canadian-wide film festival. You get 48 hours to make a short film. And by Sunday night, you got to show it in front of everybody. The winner gets to submit their film on to TIFF Bell Lightbox, which is like the TIFF headquarters, and show their film in front of a lot of really important fucking people in 2021 at TIFF. That's a really great way to celebrate the community of film. I don't know if you agree with me or disagree with me, but at the end of this episode, I think you will, because Ben is a super awesome dude. He's all about the community of film. He's worked all over the world. He's predominantly in digital filmmaking. We talk a lot about everything, so we get into his history, how he switched from marketing, got into filmmaking, working with film festivals, working with the Winnipeg Film Group. Tons of stuff got packed into this episode. I'm super excited to show it to you. To let you listen to it. For all things Reel Debaters, you can find us now at thereeldebaters.ca. That's the website. That's it. It's that simple. Follow us on social media, Reel Debaters on Twitter and on Instagram. That's REEL. And to email the show, it's thereeldebaters@gmail.com. Isn't it nice when it's short and sweet? I'll just shut the fuck up and cue the reel, and you and Ben enjoy the show. That is us. Welcome to my living room, Ben Williams.
Thank you very much. Or you can call me Bendrix.
Ben, yes, okay, I can. All right, I thought that was a moniker for people who knew you well.
Well, it's, you know what, man? That actually, funny story. It all goes back to my podcast years.
Okay, yeah.
2005, when I first started podcasting.
I think when podcasting first started,
When it first started, exactly.
When it was like you'd have to get your own website and broadcast on your own broadband, like there was.
Well, here's an interesting fact. In 2005, the summer of 2005. Apple secretly snuck in there that you can do video in iTunes. No, I was a total tech head, so I was like, "What? You could do video in iTunes? When did this happen?" I dropped a video in there by accident, and then found out, started reading up about podcasting.
Interesting.
Yeah. So you would have to do it on a blog, and then you could take the RSS feed and connect to iTunes or anywhere else. Yeah,
I've learned so much about RSS feeds, right? It's that thing you always see on a. I was like, what the hell is this thing? And now I'm like, must know exactly what RSS feed goes where.
Yeah.
But that was like 2005 was like when someone said podcasting. You were like that was a complete what the fuck are you talking about thing.
That was very, very true. We had the first podcast conference in 2005. It was January, February, I believe. And all the podcasters were doing audio. And I was a podcaster / video blogger, and I did both. And so basically I was the only one with a camera. Yeah, this stuff is still up online actually right now.
I would love to see it.
Yeah, I'll send you a link. There's stuff from back then. And I used to go to it's funny, a lot of people didn't understand this at the time. I was working in advertising at the time.
Yeah, okay.
And what happened was I used to go and say, "Hey, I have a media outlet." And they would say, "Oh, okay, then come." I would get a free pass to go to these conferences. So Macworld, first podcast. I was one of the first podcasters ever to do Macworld. One of the first podcasters to do an AB, Flash Forward, all these different conferences, and kind of led me to a lot of cool places.
Yeah, I would imagine. The guys, me and Mark were on Sean Geek podcast. It's another local one in the city, and Mark brought up that I used to blog, and I was blogging when blogger.com came out, and everybody's like, "What are these things? Like, what's a blog?" And I'm like, "Well, you know what a journal is?" They're like, "Yeah." And I'm like, okay, it's just for everybody in the world to read.
Yeah, there you go.
And you can write about anything you want, and you have your own little place on the internet. It was like an adult version of MySpace.
Yeah, truly.
And like I would fill it with random bullshit about like stuff that's not important, right? But like in your head, only child, it's important. And I remember, just like, my point is, I remember being a part of something that was just starting, right? And you're navigating it and you're figuring it out. And I mean, truth be told, whatever happened, like the story goes is my girlfriend hacked the blog and stole it, and I lost it.
No.
So I had like 2 years of like, I was like, even if it didn't go anywhere, it would have been nice to reflect on one day, right? And so it went the way of the dodo. And so that's good, right? I was like, I'm gonna be a writer, but everybody's like, your grammar is horrible.
Yeah.
So
That's funny.
But so you were basically, and I'm by no means a professional interviewer, so I like to go all over the place, but
Sure,
there's some structure is nice. So we have seen each other in Zoom calls before. You and me are both members of On Screen Manitoba, through you in film, through me through my day job. And we are both on the same membership committee. And the reason I wanted you on was because I heard about this guy who was doing this thing called the 48, which we're totally going to get into. I want to dedicate a lot of time to that. But I was like, oh, another Manitoba film professional doing something. Let's have him on, talk about it. You can teach us stuff because we're dodos ourselves. And then I realized it was you. I was like, oh, this is gonna be even more fun, right? Because
without doubt.
all the I've listened to you talk, and I'm like, I want to talk to this guy because you've done a lot of things. And I guess you started in advertising. Is it the safe way to say that advertising was your gateway into film?
Well, I guess what you really could say is that my degree was in graphic design.
Okay.
And that led me into an ad agency. And the ad agency, I had a unique position where, well, actually, sorry, let me step back.
Yeah, sure.
After I graduated from university, I was working at this Kinko's shop. You know Kinko's? Like,
Printing.
Yeah, so as soon as I graduated, I was working at this shop. I was like doing business cards and all this cool stuff. Well, not really cool. It was, at the time, it was cool, I suppose. So I managed the lab there. And then this guy used to come up to me. He used to come through the place and see me working on stuff. And he'd be like, yo, man, come on upstairs. This guy with dreads. And I was thinking, like, I don't know. This is when I was in New York. And I was just like, I don't know this dude. Why is he asking me to come? Come to find out that this dude was Salt and Pepper's old producer.
Oh. Yeah,
Herbie Lovebug. And so I went upstairs to the 47th floor, whatever floor it was in Tribeca in New York. And basically it was like, it was funny because I was like, whoa, these guys are working on the Fuji stuff and they're working on Mos Def and Kweli, and they got me out there shooting gigs. I learned how to shoot there with these guys. I learned how to edit with these guys. And then I jumped into advertising. And when I was working in advertising, I had a very unique position where we were among the first to take an analog tape and put it to digital.
That was a big thing at the time.
Yeah, 2001. Yeah, no one was doing it. We're the first agency to really do it. We were at the time. Fourth largest ad agency in the world. And basically I had it was like my own oyster. I was like new to that space, but they gave me free reign to buy the gear,
play,
figure it out, make this tape or analog stuff, and compress it down to digital. And at that time, we didn't have MPEG-4s and stuff like that. We had we had AVIs and Windows media files and all these different things. It was very hard to figure it all out, but I brought some clarity to it and eventually went from that and then jumped right into podcasting. Like in 2005, I presented to them. I was like, hey, look, this podcasting thing's coming out. I like to do it. And they said, figure it out. This is the head office. And this is like the guy who runs all of North America and parts of Europe even. It was crazy. It was like, figure it out. I'm like, okay, I'll figure it out. And so I started going to conferences and trade shows for free. I didn't pay for any of it.
That's the best.
Yeah, like they would cover the costs. the conference would cover my costs for the ticket and everything. It was great. Yeah, so so that led me into doing podcasts, and that was around the time, even though I had been shooting and editing in the for a handful of years. I think that would have been 5 years at that point.
So were you were making music videos with these guys?
Yeah, I was learning how to shoot. I shot a lot of videos with these guys, and then I learned how to edit. I didn't edit the videos per se. Sorry about that.
No. Okay.
But yeah, I learned from these guys, and then I got into the advertising, and then my job was in the beginning was to figure out compression and DVD authoring, and so basically it was kind of like trim, cut, author, whatever, and kind of do that kind of very monotonous, boring thing. And then I took a university class at a New York Film Academy, and what wound up happening is I learned the creative side. I already knew the technical side, and then I did this thing at NEB, and we did all this stuff with Regis Philbin and like James Cameron. It was crazy. This was like several years before Avatar came out, and he was telling us about this really great animation he was doing. We had no idea. We had no idea it was going to be as great as it was. I mean, you have to understand, this is a crazy time. Like you know, you're not really understanding what's going to happen.
No.
In this period when you go to a place and you're carrying a laptop and a camera, a small camera with a monopod, and the New York Times is there with a notepad, and the Boston Globe, all these big name papers were at this conference and taking notes and stuff. And here I was going and producing stuff within 8 hours. And so, hey, that's the precursor to the 48, I guess.
I guess so, yeah, right? Before 8 hours, yeah. 48 at a time, yeah.
Yeah, literally producing, you know, shooting, editing, producing, and uploading content within an 8-hour period easily. It was just like happening. And yeah, it was a really interesting time. And so when I was doing the NAB stuff, what happened was one of the guys, the guy who kind of, you know, when I said, I'm the media, I want to do, he basically, you know, wrote me online, and he says, hey, man, check this out. I'm in China. I'm like, oh, that's cool. He said, you want to come out here? I'm like, well, I don't know, man. He's like, yeah, I'm with this agency called Wieden+Kennedy. And I'm like, yeah, okay. They said, you know, they do all the Apple stuff. I'm like, wow, that's cool. And then I was like, all right, man, whatever. And, you know, I had a full-time job. I was like, I'm not going to leave my full-time job.
Why?
You know? So then he comes back to me, hey, this thing is for the Olympics. You know, you should come do it. And I'm like, okay, you know, you could do all the editing and all the creative stuff. And I was like, yeah, man, maybe, you know, maybe this sounds interesting. And then, you know, a few weeks go by, and then, by the way, we're doing this thing. It's with Kobe Bryant. I'm like, what? You're kidding, dude. Don't mess with me. Yeah, it's with Kobe Bryant.
Don't mess with the GOAT, man.
It's with this is like 2000, what was that, 2015? Yeah, 2015. And he's like, yeah, it's with Kobe, and it's during the Olympics, and you know you're gonna be in Shanghai, and I'm like, whoa, dude, this is crazy. Okay, so I knew it was a freelance gig, and it wouldn't last probably for more than 3 or 6 months, and I was like, you know what, this is a once in a lifetime opportunity.
Yeah,
and I took it. I was there for 6 months working. Never met Kobe, of course, but what I did was we created the first reality TV show in China, and it was the second most watched thing next to the Olympics, and it was like an award-winning online, offline kind of campaign where Nike was making this thing called the Ballers Network, and basically athletes came from all over China. 400 athletes came from all over China. 27 were picked, or 28 were picked, I guess. And they went to the U.S. to train with U.S. coaches and Kobe. They came back, played in the championship game in Beijing, and this is what we created. Crazy.
That's nuts, man.
Oh, yeah.
That's nuts for somebody to just drop that on you.
Who
oh, by the way.
Who knew?
Man, rest in power, buddy.
Yeah. Yeah,
Like,
Kobe. You know, Kobe brought me out. You know, when Kobe died, you know, I don't follow basketball anymore, but, you know, I did follow Kobe, and I learned a lot by watching him. I saw all these clips of him and his philosophy, and it was insane. Like, you know, Jordan's the best, Kobe's right beneath him, right? And, this is also a prelude that I've worked with the Basketball Hall of Fame, so I got to meet all these legends and stuff, like, Charles Barkley and Bernard King and Dominique Wilkins actually was his personal, when he was inducted in the Hall of Fame, was his personal online media person. And Dick Vitale.
Oh, sweet.
Got to work with these guys. So, like, anyway, this is a lot. It's a lot of stuff.
Yeah, no, it is. And that's what I kind of wanted to focus on a little bit, was that you've been on the ad side, the marketing side. You've been on the production side, holding the camera, following it all. First of all, what do you like more in regards to that? Editing?
Without a doubt.
Yeah?
Editing is, I hate being on set.
You know what? Say. With the day job, I've been lucky enough where someone's like, "Hey, you want to come down?" And I'm like, yeah, "Of course I want to come to set, right?" And you have these preconceived notions in your head of what a movie, like, it's here's the problem. Entertainment Tonight makes a movie set look sexy. It's not sexy. It's boring as all hell. You hurry up and wait for almost everything. Someone comes by with food every 2 to 3 hours so that you don't pass out. And then 30 seconds of magic happens, and then you set up for another 4 hours to do another 30 seconds of magic.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm corrected. This is not. So having seen that, I can't even sympathize, but I can kind of empathize what that might be like for 14 hours.
Yeah, I mean, I spent less time. I produced my own stuff, right? So, being on somebody else's set, you have to be quiet. You can't do much of anything, and I that's not my flow. Like, and plus, I edit, right? And I teach an editing class. Like, I know I'm jumping. I know you.
No, dude, we can jump. We can jump. We don't draw roads here.
No worries. But like with editing, for example, like there's 3 writers in the filmmaking process. There's the creative and the writer. There's the director / and cinematographer. They can help to craft the story, right? And then there's the editor. The editor has the final say, along with the director or the creative, whoever's in the background there. But the editor has so much power, and they get to be isolated. They get to, they get paid. I mean, they're always working. There's always editors who need work. I mean, there's always work for them.
I can't remember who said. I think my friend Doug said it actually. He's like, if you like being in a dark room by yourself, editing is your jam.
Yeah.
Okay, so you agree. All right, I think that's and it is a very solo. Like, you get all of the pieces, it seems, to create the story that was filmed, so that what's filmed makes sense in the story. So you really do get a lot of the final say, and then director wants 3 hours, you go no, 2.5, and then a lot of headbutting, I would imagine there. Do all directors want to keep everything in? Do you find more often than not is editing a lot of other people's stuff, no matter what they direct?
Oh wow. I find that directors will trust you with stuff if they know your reputation, or if they can see that you have the chops, right?
Yeah.
But I think most creatives, they want to keep as much as they can, because this is the important part. But the thing is, the editor's job is to they have to think about being an audience member. They have to think about, like, the attention span of the audience and what audience you're appealing to. And they also, because they do so much of it, they, there is a sense of timing and pacing. And this is something that directors and cinematographers sometimes don't necessarily have, which is why, again, a lot of times it's entrusted into an editor, right?
Yeah.
I found that, like, also, like, years past, I mean, I think you find more people who edit and shoot, even though, like, you need to separate the two if you're going to be doing a film, because a film is a teamwork thing. If you're really trying to make a real film, then you're trying to, like, I mean, that's my personal view. You can't just, it's a challenge to do everything all by yourself. So, like, producing content for the web or iTunes, podcasts or whatever, that's a whole other thing, right? But, like, I will say this, I don't like, because I'm getting older and, like, lifting up the heavy gear and everything. And it's like, I don't have time for that. But I like to be on set. I like to know what's being shot, because I make mental notes and think, oh yeah, that's a good shot. I always tell people when they're shooting stuff, think for the editor. put your head space in the mind of the editor, because the editor needs all these different angles. And so please think about and consider the editor always, because, you know.
I want to put that on a t-shirt for you. Consider the editor.
Yeah, that's a good one.
You know, like, but it makes sense. And then like Brad Crawford was on when I was talking to him about cinematography, right? Like super solid. I've known BJ Verreau since we were kids, right? Like those are great fucking boys to hang out with. And Brad was like saying this, like there's a lot of things where it's like all of you are required, but it would be better if all of you did each other's jobs at least once or twice.
Yeah.
Because then you would see the eyes of the editor, and you would understand the focus of the cinematographer, and you would understand the orchestra conducting of the director, right? At least once or twice, which I've seen a lot so far, and everybody kind of plays in everybody else's department at least once or twice. Like you do it all, because how do you know it all if you don't do it? It's one of those, like, you know how corporate jobs will be like, we're going to onboard you and we're going to put you through each position so you understand the company, and you're like, oh my fucking God. I think film is the only place where that's fun.
Yeah.
You know, I'm going to get in the makeup department today. Okay, great. I understand why you can't just, you know, fuck around with it after, right? You have more sympathy for the other departments, but that would be too expensive.
Yeah, it's totally is a challenge, right?
We were sitting here one day and we were like, wouldn't it be cool if 3 directors did a movie in their styles, and one was act 1 and one was act 2 and one was act 3, but the same story?
Oh, interesting.
Like go from Fincher to Mann to Spielberg.
Yeah.
Or Malick to Kubrick to Villeneuve, right?
Yeah. You know, it's interesting. It's not exactly like this, but there's a movie that always pops in my head. Tokyo. You ever see it or hear about?
No.
Try to remember who was Bjork's did a lot. Lars Van Trier, I think his name is.
Lars Van Trier, yes. A lot of her music videos?
Yeah, I think it was Lars Van Trier. Was it Lars Van Trier? But the movie's called Tokyo. Okay. And
I'm looking it up.
Yeah, look it up, and then you can tell me, because I can't remember all the directors. But man, this movie is insanely good.
None of us can, Ben.
It's so insanely good.
Tokyo. Okay. All right.
And 3
is
directors.
It foreign?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's all done in Tokyo.
That's another slogan for a t-shirt.
Yeah, it's all done in Tokyo. But I love this film, and it's like 3 directors. It's one film, but it's different, different themes per film, and they're all it's all very cool and interesting and weird and freaky, and it's like, whoa, this movie's so good. I just can't remember the director's name. I think, was it Lars Van Trier? See, now I want to look it up now.
Yeah, no, dude, I'm trying here, but
Tokyo film, I think is if you type in Tokyo film.
So many smart devices, but none of them want to fucking work at the same time.
Yeah, no doubt.
Hilarious.
But
Tokyo film. No, I mean, what you're saying is exactly what I'm thinking, and it's probably you know what, there was a question that I had for you, and it's a great time to bring it up. It's like they being one's always smarter than me, say that there's 6, maybe 12 stories that you can tell. So like, is that true, first of all? And you know, would stories can you tell different stories through changing directors up, maybe, and having 3 writers write 3 separate styles, like making these hybrids would then maybe square it to the power of 2, you know?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I mean, it's funny, like, you know, a jump forward but backward. Like with our 48, we always try to have a theme, right?
Yeah.
And so we always kind of work with themes like overcoming the monster, or, you know, rags to riches, that kind of thing.
Yeah,
right?
that's what I'm talking. Yeah, coming of age tale.
Yeah,
or hero's journey. Or...
Right. So this is a complex question, but it's not really, right? Because you know, it's funny. Some time ago, I was looking at this thing online where Kurt Vonnegut was talking about the arc of a story, right? And he draws this horizontal line and this vertical line, and
like an X and a Y, right?
Yeah, it's kind of like the axes.
Yeah,
right?
okay.
So the top is like health, happiness, and greatness, everything at the top. And the bottom is being poor and poor health or whatever. Everything's at the bottom there. And then in the middle, he has the beginning, and then at the end, he has the end, right? So
Get the fuck out of here.
So like, the way his thing goes is kind of like, a lot of people like to start above, right above like the average line.
Okay.
So there's Boy Meets Girl, for example. Boy Meets Girl, he's going about his life or her life or whomever, partner or whatever, and then he meets the girl and everything's great and it goes up high, everything's great, and then there's something bad that happens and it goes down, it goes beneath the
shitty stuff, the medium. Yeah,
and then it goes back up at the end. I mean, so what it is basically like there are these arcs. A lot of times it's going to be, there's a high, then there's a low, then there's a high. Usually there's a low at some point in the film. If you want your film to kind of go somewhere, there's going to be a low somewhere. Sometimes there's several lows, like, right? And then, it's like you got low and then it got even lower. It's like, whoa, what's going on? And then sometimes it ends on a low, right? But most of films in North America tend to be on the happy ending kind of thing, right? But you have your,
well, they're supposed to market, Ben. They're supposed to sell.
Yeah.
Like there is that, which always blows my mind that everything outside of North America always has some artistic quality, some charm to it, some subplot, some deeper metaphor. But here it's like Captain America saves the day. Now, I don't get me wrong, I fucking love Avengers.
Yeah.
But like, it's sickening to see the hard sell in there.
Oh yeah,
right?
it's there
And that's
all the
studio
time.
interference.
Yeah. But
you don't get that with foreign films. You don't get that with French films. And maybe people in France and wherever else are like, they're saying what I'm saying. But from my perspective,
yeah. Well, I think when you look at the arc of a film and you look at these highs and lows, the core, like as human beings, we relate to things, right? And the reason why we tell stories is what we want to relate things to people, right? So you think back to the cave paintings, whatever, telling stories so that we can do right in our society, those type of things, or learning a lesson, right? But when you think about it, when you're writing your story, yeah, you can have different directors and different things, but it's less about that and it's more about making connection with people with your truth, right? I feel like it's about truth or your truth and understanding your truth. If you own your truth and you understand it, and if you have life experience, like I feel like a lot of good directors have had some life experience. It's kind of hard for like a high school kid to come out and
I want to tell stories.
And craft a story when they haven't even lived life. You can read stories.
My balls haven't even dropped yet, but I'm trying to tell you how to live your life.
Yeah, it's funny. It's very true, right? So my thinking
the fuck is Dawson's Creek making a movie?
Well, seriously.
James Van Der Beek thinks he knows the secret to life, and he's only 16.
Exactly. And it's like I don't know. I feel like there needs to be some life lived. And if you don't have life lived, sometimes you can read stories or see other things and kind of pick a truth from that. You can elevate yourself by understanding your truth and or knowing what you know. It really makes a difference when you know what you know, and then you can speak on that topic, because then you start connecting people. If you can't connect people in that way, or you don't have enough experience to do that, then it's going to be harder for you to really reach people, I feel.
I couldn't agree with you more, and that's just from a sideline perspective. But like with the onslaught of remakes and reboots, because it's like, well, let's take this old movie that was based on the time and remake it with a fresh coat of pro-choice, or make and what I find offensive about that is that is not the way to make something better. Tell that story. If you're trying to include diversity and inclusion, tell a fucking story about that stuff.
Yeah.
Don't make Star Wars about inclusion, because it is a way to do it. It's Disney going, but it's not fucking enough.
Yeah, you know what? I'm going to tell you something. Star Wars, when they had the I forget the guy's black character's name.
Oh yeah,
Finn or whatever.
Finn, yeah.
He's cool and all, but like Star Wars, they have Billy D. Williams, whatever. But when you really want to,
Billy D. Williams, man, he's the fucking shit.
Yeah, well, no doubt,
As
right?
Lando, I don't think a better casting has ever occurred.
No doubt, that dude was dope, right? But I can tell you something. When you look at a movie like Black Panther and how it connected with people, I remember some dude was like shouting me down or trying to tell me like it's Black Panther was just like any other, it's a shit movie, it's this and that, and I was like, dude, you know what? This is the first time I saw myself up on screen. This is an intelligent black man for one, and and we're looking at a futuristic part of Africa, and it was like a whole world that was never seen before.
Yes,
we've never seen that world before, and and then you have this wonderful, amazing looking, beautiful black man who's like powerful, not only strong, he's smart. And he's a prince. I'm like, I see myself. We don't ever see ourselves in these things. And I love superhero movies and comic books. I love the Spider-Man and I love the Hulk and everything. But they don't look like me. And I'm not trying to make this about a race thing. But like when you grow up I grew up in the States, right? I grew up in the States. There's no images of me in the 70s. I grew up in the 70s, dude. Like there wasn't any images of me growing up. It was blaxploitation, or we were looking like thugs and criminals, and it wasn't until like a movie like Coming to America, like where what Eddie Murphy did, for example.
Fuck you.
Well,
fuck you too. One of my favorite scenes.
Yeah.
But and that's great, but it's a shame that it had to be a comedy, right? Like but I mean, baby steps, I guess, right? I can't speak to that, but I totally, and that's what that's what you see in Black Panther, and that was what, if you couldn't see that at all, skin color aside, if you couldn't see that that's what that movie was trying to do, and that's what Boseman was trying to convey, I feel bad for you.
Yeah, totally.
And it's even better that it's a superhero movie in regards to children seeing that and seeing, like you say, seeing themselves on screen. Because I'm quite frankly sick and tired of seeing who I look like on screen. Yeah. Right? Like it's just boring. Yeah. And it's well, it's also like the same when you see man, I can't remember this TV show, but like they had like the first LGBT it was the L Word. Oh, what's the name of that show, man? Queer as Folk? No, it was a superhero. It was like a superhero. Oh, okay. And it was I love LGBTQ shows, clearly. I'm just trying to remember the name of the oh man, I can't remember the name of it, but it was really cool. And one of the lead characters, one of the prominent characters was someone who actually was, they were changing. They were changing their from male. Oh, they were transitioning. Yeah, that's cool. And they were like this high tech, geek, and I was like, yo, that's dope. But even still, like they've done a lot of movies about women in general, like as heroes, but they never really. It wasn't until like you see somebody like Scarlett Johansson or what's her name? Mila Jovovich. Oh, yeah. like they like sometimes you see a female character and you can see, they just put her in there because she's very, she's aesthetically, as the masses put it, a pleasing look or whatever. Yeah. It's like they're not going for the core of like, does this person really have badass in their eyes? No, they do not. and you could see it, and that's the sad part. But she was put on screen to not look in her eyes. Yeah, not to look in her eyes as a badass, right? Yeah, but then when you see Scarlett, you can see she's a badass. You can see that Mila is. You can see, I don't know the actress that was in Black Panther, but the black actress in that movie who played the sister, who played the warrior. Oh, the warrior. Yeah, the warrior was hardcore. Yeah, it was like, who are you? Why are you not in more films? Like, you have that look in your eye. Yeah. That's the thing. And so they're starting to do, even like Wonder Woman, they're doing a good job with her even. They're finally totally starting to get that look of badass properly.
It's not just another pretty face on screen. It's
to check a box. It's
Yeah.
actually like, okay, no, you're believable as an actor.
right.
And that's another thing too that I've if we're being honest, like I realize that it's actor. It's not actor and actress, right? And it just should and if you want to categorize it, then it should be best male actor and best female actor, but you shouldn't categorize as actor and actress because you're all playing something.
Yes.
So it doesn't sex doesn't matter at that point.
Gotcha.
Right? Whatever whatever box you check, it shouldn't feminize or masculinize, for lack of a better word, your profession. It is what it is.
Understood. Right? I'm feeling you on that right there. You know, yeah. I mean, it's interesting. Like I personally, I wanted to throw something in with this because we were talking about, storytelling, and when I worked in advertising, one of the most powerful things is they always talk about story, but when you think about why so many people go to Apple, or why so many people have such a fanfare of that, or Nike, and I worked with Nike, right? So it's the whole, it's less about the product. It's less about the product, because you can put movie's the same way, right? It's here's this product that has all these heroes and whatever, these great characters and this big name actor, but if you don't have the heart and core, which when you look at Apple, for example, it's all about innovation, creativity, and that's what it's the experiential thing. It's the experience that you're feeling with with the brand Apple. And I hate to talk about branding because a lot of people, think of, he's talking that marketing stuff. No, it's less about that. It's more about capturing the core of something.
I know what you're talking about. Aaron works, my buddy Aaron works in graphic design. And so it's when people hear marketing, it cuts kind of hard now because of social media and oversaturation of it. And I'm streaming SNL the other night, and I'm like, I literally, there's a sketch missing, and it's been filled with commercials. Like it's that obvious, right? But when you're talking about marketing something for its purity as opposed to marketing for its price value, there's a difference there, I think, is what you're getting at.
1000%. Like, like Red Bull is an example. Like, I don't drink Red Bull at all. I hate, I don't want to drink that stuff. But man, the stuff they do with extreme sports and that whole thing with jumping from the space and everything, just they've created their own narrative to bring people into their world. Now, do I, am I interested in their product? No, but the fact that they focus on drawing people to their world that they created is kind of interesting, and yeah, it is deceitful, I suppose, in a way. but like I said before, I'm looking at Apple, I'm looking at Google. I love Apple, and it's not because I'm brainwashed, it's because the experience I've had with it, and that's what I'm trying to get at. Like the experience that you get from a film is what you need to be drawing out of your stories.
Yes, and sometimes you do have to market to the masses because it's broad strokes, right? Unless you're hard in the paint for independent, or you're a short filmmaker and you don't have a big window, I'm sure the algorithm exists. I'm sure Fox was tapping into it. I'm sure Disney has a direct feed into it, right? Like where you just put like Netflix proved, and House of Cards exists because people like crime. They like David Fincher, and they like Kevin Spacey. So they just went, okay, let's make a political thriller with crime directed by David Fincher with Kevin Spacey. And that's why it did so well. But they only had that because that was the information they were given.
Right.
With a movie, you have to create that, which is where that sell kind of comes in, right? And the product placement maybe, and you can't, when you can see the Mercedes-Benz tag on the front hood of the car, I'm like, okay, I know who's in on this, who's got some points on this movie.
But
right?
but it goes to a deep point of what is the heart and core, the emotional core of your film? What is the emotional core? What is going to pull the heartstrings of the people? Because, you can talk about a story that is about being triumphant in the end, but the person has to go through some trials, because that's what people relate to. That's part of life, right? You go through these trials and then triumph, because everybody wants to triumph and they want to see the protagonist or the hero in the film, triumph, have a triumphant ending, because they see themselves in that character, right? And so if you can capture that essence of what it is to be triumphant, but also to fall low, because you've actually seen low before, and you've been
we're humans. We're living it, buddy.
Yeah, exactly. So I think when I think of all the things that go into the ingredients of making a film, I think of like the emotional core. The emotional core. What is that core that you're striving for, that you're trying to hit and target and hit people and pull their heartstrings when they fall low, like the daughter dying or the wife dying or the husband dying or whatever, and then that protagonist has to come upward from being so down, or they get sick or they get broken in some way, and then they have to rise up and like make something of themselves or reinvent themselves.
Totally.
People love that stuff.
They do. I do too. I always, as much as it, like, I'm a public crier. I'll cry in front of 20 people at a movie, right? That shit just gets at me. Yeah. Like, shamefully, I cry during like Hallmark movies. Shout out to Winnipeg for being the Hallmark movie mecca.
Gotcha.
Canada. What movies make you a better filmmaker?
Well, I'm an editor, so I don't want to say I'm what make movies. Okay. But I'll say movies that I love. Memento.
Oh, you're old, Nolan.
Oh, well, new too. I love Inception, one of my favorite films.
Have you seen Tenet yet?
No, I know about it. Well, actually, I don't know enough about it because I don't watch trailers. Okay, I don't watch trailers.
I'm doing the same thing you are.
Part of that, again, being an editor, I anticipate things. And I don't like to anticipate. I want to just be taken for a journey. One of my greatest experiences ever in watching a film was Avatar, because all I knew was like, oh, Avatar, computers. That's all I thought. I don't even know if I saw a poster. I didn't know James Cameron was even doing it. I just went there and I had the 3D glasses on, and I was on the IMAX in New York, and I was like, what am I witnessing? I had no idea what I was getting into. And that's
amazing. I can't imagine what that would have been like.
It was unbelievable because I didn't have any. I had no knowledge of what was going to be, what this film was about.
We've had this conversation before, and I'm sorry. This is a question I like to ask everybody, because when I say filmmaker, I mean somebody who makes movies. So you're the editor, right?
Got it.
You're the guy who puts all the pieces together.
Yeah.
So pardon my ignorance.
No, it's not an ignorant thing. It's I always put it at the, yeah, it's true, when you're editor, and I put pieces together. So yeah, of course I understand. But yeah, I'm editor.
Memento just must drive you crazy then.
Memento is a fantastic film. The Matrix is one of my favorite films. Eternal Sunshine from a Spotless Mind is one of my favorites.
Is that not one of the best premises for a movie?
Sick film.
Which, like, I can't wait to see his new film on Netflix. I've been meaning to get to it. I don't think I Want to Be Here Anymore, I think is what it's called.
Oh, okay.
It's got Jesse Plemons. Did you see Chernobyl on HBO?
Oh man, I saw bits and pieces. It wasn't on HBO. I saw it somewhere else.
Okay.
I know bits and pieces of it. I think I saw the first part, or I think it was like a series, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I saw like the first 2 series, like episodes.
Well, yeah,
or something.
it's a mini series.
Yeah.
It's got the name David Thewlis is in it. Jesse Plemons, and Heredity, and oh man, we'll check. I'll put this in the notes later.
Yeah,
we'll get it. But that's why we are who we are. That's us here. We're not professionals, ladies and gentlemen. Right. We've never claimed to be. The 48. I want to start with, you've done a lot of festivals, and to you, what is the most important? Like, I mean, everybody hears film festival. They hear Sundance. They hear Tribeca. They hear TIFF. They hear maybe Vancouver. Those are the ones that are in the news, because those are the ones that bring in the big names. So for anybody who really doesn't know the importance of a film festival, really, what is the most important aspect of a festival?
going there and interacting with people.
Okay. No, and that's what I feel. It's a shared like whenever salespeople go to a conference, it's just bullshit, ego stroking, posturing shit. But when you guys get together, it's like it's networking, but you're networking with your things you made.
Oh yeah. It's let me step back a little bit though. The first film festival I ever went to was in New York. It was a manga conference. It only happened for a few, and I remember it was like the Japanese anime and stuff. It was like, oh my gosh, some great stuff. And then Tribeca Film Festival was my next one. It was brand new, just had come out, and that was when I didn't really know a lot about film festivals and stuff. And then TIFF is the biggest thing it's one of the biggest in the world and the biggest in North America. I think I've been there like 5 times. And this will lead into my 48.
Yeah, that's
so
the point. Yeah, that's why we're that's yeah.
So let's put it this way. The interesting thing that happened was I impressed somebody from TIFF at an event. And they really appreciated what I was bringing to the table, I suppose. And my partner kept telling me, you need to go to TIFF. I just got the job at the film group when I was working at the Winnipeg Film Group. And I kept, you have to go. And I'm like, I just knew, I don't know anything. I'm not ready for it, And then the next year came and she said, you need to go. And then I still was like, no, I'm not ready. And then what wound up happening was I wanted to go. And then I said, how can I go? And apparently the interesting thing was I needed to watch 100 films.
Like this was a prerequisite?
For this particular instance. Watch
like 100 short films.
100 short films.
Okay, good.
So I watched 100 short films for the Canada Top 10. And that would guarantee me a pass to TIFF. And so did they like check you? Are they like, you sure? Like, oh no, not at all. It was totally cool. Like so I got a pass to TIFF.
Yeah.
I watched these 100 films, and when I was watching these 100 films, I noticed that what I noticed that there were only like 3 Manitoba films in all of these hundreds. And I was looking like, what's going on? I know we have a lot of talent here. I've seen it, and so I was just like, I don't know what's going on here. Okay, cool. So I approached them on it and I said, hey, there's not a lot of Manitoba filmmakers, and we definitely can get, like, I've seen a lot of these films. We can compete.
We do
with
this
these
already.
People. Yeah, we can compete with a lot of these people. And, it might be a matter of things of maybe just we're not submitting to TIFF. I don't know. But all I know is that I only saw 3, and I thought that should be changed. So I approached them on it and I said, hey, look, I'd like to do a National 48. And
for anybody who doesn't know what a 48 is.
I'll go into that.
Okay. All
right. Yeah. But you can explain it if you want.
No, I want you to, because I'm going to fuck it up if you let me do it.
No, it's cool. So I approached them and I said, hey, I'd like to do a 48. We've been doing it for about 5 years or so. And like, I think a lot of these films would be great and would be a good competition with everybody else. And they were like, cool, sounds great. Figure it out. And I was like, but I didn't know any other provinces. I had been working in Manitoba for about 5 years or 4 years, I guess, at that time. And I basically was like, I don't know anyone. So then I started approaching all these different other organizations that are like the Winnipeg Film Group. And I started...
Shout out to the Winnipeg Film Group.
Shout out to the Winnipeg Film Group. I'm not with them anymore. Whatever. It is what it is.
Okay. Oops, sorry.
Oh, no. Hey, look, I love the film group, but there's something going on. People, it is what it is. At any rate, basically, when I went to... I for a whole year, I got everybody all hyped up for the 48 at these different organizations. And then I did a 6-year retrospective of our 48, and I will get into what our 48 is in a second. And then I did a 6-year retrospective of our 48 that we did at the Winnipeg Film Group, or that I did, I should say. And basically what happened was we went to I went to Toronto, did it there, and it was an amazing thing. And then we were going to announce to the world, and this was February 2020 this year, and then in March we were going to release it, and then COVID happened. And everything went to hell, and that was it. And so, but then I picked it up. So anyway, what a 48 is, basically, you write, shoot, direct, score a film in 48 hours. Fucking
madness.
And I was tasked, like I got the job in 2014 at the Winnipeg Film Group. In my first or my second month, it was stated to me that I needed to do a 48, and I been in one, but I never ran one. I was like, how am I supposed to? So anyway, I had to figure out how all that worked, and basically, I
just Google.
Yeah, so basically I went to like William F. White, I went to all the local, the bakery, whatever. I went to all these different local businesses and art organizations and said, hey, look, I'm not looking for money. I just want to make sure that, I want to support the filmmakers, and like we want to get first prize and this and that kind of thing. And so they all supported that was cool and everything. And so from there, then the Gimli Film Festival the next year saw successful and thought it was a really cool idea, and they wanted to partner. And I said, hey, you know what? Let's let's partner and let's do, because they wanted to do a 48. I said, well, it's kind of hard. And at the time, Winnipeg Film Group members in particular were not going to the Gimli Film Festival, right? At the time, not in droves. They would go for the pitch, and then they would like leave. And then it was like, well, we want to keep him here. What's a good way to keep him here? And it's like, well, 48, like the 40 would be a good thing. So then we did that, and we did it very well. And then the next year they gave us the Gimli Theater, because we packed out the other theater. It was like 160. We packed it out, and then we went to the Gimli Theater, and then we sold out that one like for every year after. And then we brought it back here because it got so big for the Winnipeg Film Group. We had to take it to the Metropolitan. And so we're talking anywhere between 400 to 600 people would see this within, a year. And it started with only 90 people being able to see it only in the Cinematheque. And we got 2 screenings. And so that all led to the 6-year retrospective of the TIFF Bell Lightbox. So when I was fired from the film group this past year, I like to say this, be straight with it, because people keep asking and they don't know. But anyway, I'm not going to bring up the bad stuff, whatever. I love the film group.
We're honest here, but we don't drop names.
About dropping names, but I was fired from the film group. People keep asking me, so I just want to be flat out. I got fired from the film group, and I got love for all the folks that are there. Some of the folks that are there, and they're strong, and I appreciate them very much. That's what I will say. Anyway, I was like, so this happened like 3 days or like 6 days into the COVID lockdown. And it's like, what's going on? So I had to figure out like, okay, well, no one's hiring. What do I do? Like who fires somebody during COVID? and so I was just like, well, what do I do? So basically I was like, well, the 48 is in place. That's something I can do automatically because I already have all these relationships. Why not? It makes sense.
Yeah.
And that's something that's ready made and already like in an easy sell, So basically what I did was, I like 2 weeks after I got fired, I went and I incorporated and did a nonprofit at the federal level. So meaning that like most people, when they do a business, they do it usually in their own province, right? What I did was I did it so that it would be able to operate all over Canada. So I went and did that, and then I incorporated it. And basically, it's called the 48 Film Festival, Inc. And we have a relationship with about 8 of the 10 provinces for this 48, and 2 of the 3 territories.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and then all these talks, all these things were going on, and I started building up the hype of it quietly. Like I was being really quiet. People didn't know what I was doing. I was being very quiet. Then I got on the board of On Screen Manitoba, and then Guy Matten, like this summer, we were talking about some things, and then he was like, "Hey, I like to help out. How can I help?" And he's like, I was like, "Hey, maybe we can do this thing with the 40." He was like, "Yeah, I really love what you're doing. I love the energy that you bring into this. This is so amazing." And so me and Guy connected, and then over pie and
As you do.
yeah, as you just have pie and you hang out and whatever, and I'd already been just it's not like there was like oh, Guy just met Ben. No, I knew him prior to, like, when I first got here. So I'm backtracking a little bit.
No, dude,
Memento time. Memento time. So basically, I met Guy at a party some time ago, and I was new to Canada, so I didn't really know him, and because I was just getting into the film realm here with Canada. I knew stuff in the States, but I didn't know a lot about Canada filmmaking. And we just hit it off. We just were very cool. We liked each other. And then me and Guy, and then when I got to be at the film group, I took him out for lunch and everything, and we talked, and we really hit it off. We really liked each other. And then one day I asked him for a favor. I said, "Hey, we're doing this thing for our grants and stuff, and I'd like to interview you." He said, "Great, but I need a favor from you. I want you to be in my film." And I was like, "Well, what a trade-off! Of course,
why
no
not?
problem."
Yeah.
And so there was the one film, Accidents, which actually went to TIFF, and then it went to Cannes, I believe. And then he did another film called Stump the Guesser, which I haven't seen, but I know it played in Europe. That he had me in his second time, so that was cool. So
what's that? I'm gonna stop you there.
Yeah.
What's it like working with him? My Winnipeg is like one of my whenever somebody starts talking kooky, I'm like, well, I got a kooky film for you. It's about my hometown.
Well,
maybe never want to come here.
Well, Guy is funny. Like he
sees life through a different lens.
1000%, and like you get that even just in general conversation with him. And there's this melodrama. There's humor, this dark humor, and like even just like here wear a suit, and then you're gonna be putting something into a jar. I'm not gonna tell you what it is because it's a little it's kind of out there. It's like, what we're gonna do, what? And I was like, okay, sure, we're gonna do that.
I trust you. You.
Stump the Guesser. I have to see this because I want to see exactly how this came off on screen, because it was kind of out there. I was like, yo, dude, that's out there. But I'm kind of wild anyway, so I can appreciate your vibe.
Totally.
So yeah, because Winnipeg is quirky and odd and has this
yes.
really surreal kind of vibe. My heart is that already, even though my heart is that, I think. And so that's partly why I think I identify with the Winnipeg, not necessarily the Winnipeg aesthetic, but I do identify with them in the weird and kooky stuff. I definitely identify with it. I definitely can appreciate it. So I've learned to appreciate a lot of experimental films and stuff due to that.
It's on you too, sir. Yeah. So, like, speaking as a lifetime Winnipegger to somebody who's just came here, welcome to the party.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate it.
You're good. You get t-shirts in the mail.
Thank you. But so yeah, this summer, Guy and I hooked up, and in the meantime, I was like very quiet about it. I didn't want to say anything to anybody, and then I was like, I'm going to approach the news media. I'm going to tell them we're going to do all this stuff. And so all these media people were like, yeah, we want to get the story. And totally. CBC wanted to be first. And I was like, cool. And they gave us a sick interview. It was a really, really good one. And it was cool because the producer, shout out to the producer, Shondell, who like basically, like, I never had a producer walk me through stuff and kind of like, because normally when I get interviewed, it's kind of like, hey, you ready? Let's go. And a lot of times with interviews, they a lot of things get missed. It's almost like you have to be like a Republican from the States and like just throw your talking points out there and ignore the question and just do your talking points.
Mr. Trump.
Yeah, I know, right?
Mr. Trump. Mr. Trump, I'm going to turn your microphone off, you old fuck, Mr. Trump.
Yeah, my country's crazy. We don't have to talk about that though, man. Whatever.
Hey, man, everybody's got their shit.
Yeah. But yeah, And then it was just kind of like, I mean, this announcement was made last week, so this is all news to everybody. And
Yeah.
I designed the website, and I've been programming. I've been doing web. I've been web programming for over 20 years for fun. Like, I've done some work for people. Like, I did some stuff for the Fuji's producer and a few other a few people back in the day. But like, whatever. That was just like early stuff. But like, I'm definitely at a level where it's like people do crossword puzzles for fun. I do coding for fun. Like, for my relaxation, I code.
I totally get it. When the blog was going, I had access to the HTML. So I taught myself how to read it, where to place it, all that stuff. Like, I do get this, because what you're doing is you're taking letters and numbers and brackets and parentheses, and you're creating something with it. And as much as somebody will be like, that's like a DJ where you're like, just replaying, but you're making something new, right?
Yes.
So I do understand the coding aspect to it for sure. So I know you because you obviously 48, you get the pitch the day of, right? You don't get to know in advance,
right?
So I'm not going to ask you what the theme or what the thing is. Is there one thing you can say that wouldn't give it away? Or
let's put it this way. So we have a thing called the key. Well, let's call it a set of instructions. Okay. You do not get this key, which a key can have maybe 7 different elements that you have to do in order to finish your film. You don't get this key until the day of. So ideally, all of the different provinces and territories will have a similar key, though, because we have so much experience here, I'm going to challenge Winnipeg more, Manitoba more, because we just have a lot more experience than a lot of the other ones haven't done a 48 before. So, whatever, right? But a key can be a theme, which, like I said, overcoming the monster, or you can have something like camera angle, like or a trunk shot, meaning you jump in the trunk and the camera's inside there, that kind of thing.
Tarantino, yeah.
Yeah. Or you can, yeah, exactly. You can have Usual Suspect.
Okay, Kaiser Soze.
Yeah, you could have an editing technique, like a montage, for example. And you can have we tell everybody to work with local musicians, because one thing that we're doing is we're elevating the musicians or the composers. We're elevating actors. We're trying to get people to stop using their buddies. We want people to use trained actors. If not ACTRA, then use trained actors. There's plenty of them in the city. We need to support one another, because everybody needs to support one another, because we're talking about getting national attention, because the best of the best of all these provinces will go and play at the TIFF Bell Lightbox. And talk about national exposure. Talk about all the different organizations.
So that's the prize, is to get to TIFF.
Well, not TIFF, but the TIFF Bell Lightbox.
Okay, all right.
I want to be careful when I say TIFF.
No, I get it. No, because I don't know either. So is TIFF Bell Lightbox, that's a branch off?
That is so TIFF, what they do, they own the TIFF Bell Lightbox.
Okay.
So they have, during TIFF, they have maybe like, I don't know, 9, 10, 12 different theaters that are playing films, I think. I can't remember off the top of my head. TIFF Bell Lightbox is their home space, and it was built specifically for the organization. And what they do is like the Cinematheque, and it plays films all year long, but it plays like it's a big freaking theater. It's like multiple theaters, many different theaters.
So it's their headquarters.
Yes.
For TIFF.
Yes.
So if you're going to TIFF, at some point you're at the headquarters. So it's prime real estate.
Yeah, and keep this in mind. If you enter into this, you're now going to be on their radar and everybody else's, if you get that far.
Well, we were talking before we started that I got to sit down with Ian Bawa, and just him talking about his shock with it. Like it's he was like, I can't quote him, but he was like, yeah, someone was like, you might as well do it. And he was like, okay, what do I have to lose? And then it's like, now you're in TIFF.
Yeah.
And now people are talking about your film, which, like, I was crying 2 minutes into that thing. Like, it's such a beautiful fucking piece of work.
Yeah.
But that's really, so my understanding of it is, and this is, the website just launched, but the 48 is when next year?
It will be in the spring of next year.
Next year.
And let me throw something out because you've mentioned these names before. BJ Verreau.
Yes.
Brad Crawford. And Ian was in this film. They did a film
I know.
in 2014 called Loss of Contact. And the movie went on to win like a CBC $40,000 or something like that. Like,
Brad told us about it.
Let me tell you something. If not for BJ and Brad, this 48 that I'm doing now, it was inspired by, let's put it this way. BJ Verreau helped to inspire me for the past 4 or 5 years. I've been thinking about this very like seriously, but I had to do it in baby steps and grow it, right?
Yeah.
But they upped the ante. They made everybody else step up their game, and every year the films got stronger and better. And then we have a relationship with ACTRA. Well, I'm not gonna say right now, but we have had a relationship in the past, all the way up until now, where ACTRA would allow us to use ACTRA actors for free. And that's like an unheard of thing. And it's a cool thing that Rob Macklin helped make happen. So shout out to Rob for allowing that to happen. But I was very, very fortunate to get that. And then not only have a position in the film group where I could actually say insurance is free. Well, at the time it was free because we had things going pretty well there for the insurance. And so if you wanted to work, shoot on the street or whatever, the city was, free permits. You don't get free permits in other cities, but Winnipeg you do. And if you have insurance, you can do that. And so the relationship of having free permits, free actors, no one's done that before here or really anywhere else.
It's super philanthropic.
And so with that happening, and then now bringing in Manitoba music, now you have people who are scoring their films and for the past couple of years, the best films, past several years, even this past year that I didn't work on this one, but the 48 that happened this year, Lasha Motion did a film, and I think she got best score on her film or something like that, and and this is from a relationship with Manitoba music, and it's the same person I think won the year before or something like that. I can't remember all the specifics, but think about that for example for a second. You're taking musicians and actors who wouldn't typically probably have an opportunity to expand to a wider audience. Again, like we were showing in front of like between 400 and 600 people, like that's huge, especially. And then what we did was the youth versus the adults, youth being 25 and under, and then 26 and over. Right. And I'm going to tell you something. Some of the best films are by these youth. So now we're pushing these youth to be at a level of Lasha Mochen or BJ Verreau or Juliet. Like those are the people who were killing it and like making stuff happen, right? And so like, and now we have Tyler Brown, who's like, him and his sister are sick. Like, their movies are so sick. It's like, where did you guys come from? And how are you this good? I don't get it. And like, the world needs to know this. Canada needs to know how good we have it, how good our people are.
I couldn't agree with you more, which is half the reason I love having you guys on the show is because, as small as our footprint is, I love my town and I love my town's film people, right? Yeah. And I love being proxy to it. And you guys, I've the privileged times I've been able to go to a set and watch you work and watch you hustle and hear the compliments and just know who's playing here. Like, people don't know until it happens, but it's like Netflix picks Winnipeg.
Yeah.
That's a thing.
Yeah.
When Netflix comes to Canada, they go Winnipeg.
Yeah.
So there's something behind that. So this 48, its premise, and correct me if I'm wrong, is anybody can be online. It's national. So everybody from BC, from coast to coast, every territory, they make their films, they submit them. All of them will be online to be able to watch when they're done? Or just the finalists?
Well, the idea is this. We'll still do our 48s the way we normally do it. So ideally what's going to happen is we're going to have the challenge in the spring, summer. And then they will screen in our local areas, and the best of the best, maybe it's top 2, maybe it's top 3. We haven't decided yet. we're not going to say anyway. Maybe it's top one, who knows? And then the best of the best go to the Tiff Bell Lightbox. So ideally, will this be on screen? It depends. Like, I mean, COVID's now, right? And so we have to figure out how that's going to look and how that's going to feel. That's a challenge, right? Do
you know what's also a challenge is, and I was talking to Ian about this, and these ideas keep popping up because you can put short films in so many places, and why movie theaters don't put a short film before a movie, like Baby Herman from Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Yeah,
do more of that, right?
Pixar does it. Pixar does it every movie,
but Pixar does their own shit.
Yeah.
So wouldn't it be great if right now, because it's COVID, right? Like prime example, Sean Garrity. I propose we never see each other again after tonight. His movie is still in theaters in Canada. When I talked to him, and he was like, we were getting like a week. He was like, that's unheard of.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm like, I don't know this, but to me, a week is like a super long. But he's like, no, we get like a weekend. We get one theater somewhere, and that's it. But he's still rolling through because there's nothing. So right now is such a perfect time. You don't have 100 people in the theater. You have 50 or less. Give us a fucking break. Pull back the McDonald's bullshit. Pull back the scene card marketing shit, and throw a short film in there, and get people talking. Because right now, when these filmmakers will shine.
Well, they do have to pay for their stuff. That's probably why the market. But what they could do is maybe cut one out, because a short film is anywhere between 1 minute to 5 minutes. You could say, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, why can't you throw in a movie that's a local, right? Let's support that. Hey, don't give me any ideas. I'm going to start talking to the movie theater. I'm not kidding. You think I'm kidding, dude?
Man, Landmark, I bet you in a minute would listen to you, right?
Yeah, I've actually got them to listen to me on a few things, and I got, and so there's something. I was even going to screen there once. I was thinking about doing a 48 there once. That didn't happen. But you know what? There's so many possibilities, and this is so young. I haven't even begun pushing the envelope on any of it. Like, I barely pushed the envelope, and so far we have a lot of support here just in Manitoba. Like NSI is interested now, and and that's a whole other, that's another organization here that we have so many organizations. I'm going to say this.
Yeah.
Growing up in New Jersey, living in New York for about 10 years, living in Shanghai and working in Shanghai and traveling to different parts of the world, right? I will say this much. There is no other. I feel that this is the best place in on Earth, one of the best places on planet Earth to do an independent film. If you're an independent filmmaker, especially if you're young, I call this the mecca of doing independent.
I call it Little Hollywood.
Yeah, it is. It is, and people don't realize how great Winnipeg is. And I understand people live here and they haven't been out of their homes, or they haven't been outside of the province or whatever, and this and that, and they maybe haven't had work experience other places. I have. I can honestly say, big time New York coming to Winnipeg, say, yo, I'm telling you people, man, this place is I got real love for this space. That's why I didn't leave when all this stuff went down with the film group. I got love for this space, and I want people to know that this community is live, and we have a lot of different opportunities. Another thing I want to throw out to you, this past weekend when we did our launch of the 48,
yep,
as a company, part of that news release was like a 2-hour thing. It was like, first we did about 20 minutes of a Q&A, and this is who we are, and then for an hour and a half we got filmmakers to come down online, Google Meet, just come. It's free. Anybody can come in. If you're a filmmaker, if you're a musician, if you're an actor, come in. If you're in art, because we need people who do props and everything. We want to have conversations with you. So we've created the first space for people to network online, because everybody's talking at at people through the screen. So there's movies and you watch the movies. Then there's conferences and people, there's panel discussions and you're just a side person watching. But no, we give you an opportunity to introduce yourself. We give you an opportunity to ask questions, engage us, and talk. Whether it's me or Guy, or Guy wasn't at this last one, but we'll get him in other ones. We'll get a whole bunch of other people. And the idea is that we are not. No one's really networking. There's no place to network right now. So now we've created a space. We've created the first space in Manitoba to network. It's online. So if we call, what do I call it? I think it's called Manitoba Making Movies, Music, and More.
Do you want to know what this series is called?
What's that?
Manitobans Making Movies.
That's what it's called.
That's what this whole thing that we do.
Yeah.
It's Manitobans Making Movies. That is fucking hilarious. I love it. That's fucking synergy, man.
Yeah, well.
Great minds, like they say.
Yeah.
So can people follow everything on the website for this? Sign up, get the newsletter, and then you hear about the meet. And then if you're an independent filmmaker and you want to have a conversation with somebody here, because there's people. Shout out to San Jose. We've got a little following in San Jose, California, man.
Wow.
I just found them this week. So shout out, and France too. So people, I don't know how much they, I can tell how much they listen, but I don't know when they stop and start sometimes.
Yeah.
So people, you might be ending up with somebody from San Jose who's an independent filmmaker who hears this, because it sounds like a great fucking place to talk to people about your craft.
Yeah.
Which
we totally, what, if somebody from outside of, because it's a free link and anybody can join in, right? I mean, I'm focusing on Manitoba at the moment because I want to do this. I want to
you want to create the community here and get going.
And totally. I want it to happen in other cities too, in Canada. But having people from outside of, so they could see. Let me tell you, man, people see a lot of stuff that we do here in Manitoba, and they're like, "Whoa, I wish we had something like that." People value what we do here, and I don't think people here who are doing the cool things sometimes don't realize how progressive and how forward and far away they are compared to, we're doing so many cool things here. And I just want people to recognize that and appreciate it. And again, this is why I chose to stay here instead of going to Toronto, back to New York, especially I don't want to go anywhere during COVID, but that's beside the point. The point is I got so much love for Winnipeg, and I want people to know it, and you got to represent where you're from. And I keep saying this, and say this on my website even, it's like, it ain't where you're from, it's where you're at. It's a hip hop quote, right?
Yeah, no.
It's a quotable, and it's like, wherever you are, you represent where you are and love where you are in that moment. Because, I will tell all these young people, this is a beautiful day. Appreciate your days. Appreciate your breaths. I'm getting older. I'm 48, right? So I always tell these young people, hey, appreciate your young lives, And, and then COVID happens, and some of these people are like, oh, yeah, maybe Ben was right. And it's like
that little nugget might come in handy right now, guys.
You gotta appreciate your breaths. And I'll tell you one thing. I was age 7, hit my wrist on a rusty metal post, cut 3 nerves down to the bone. I saw it open up. My fingers stopped moving. And
Jesus.
And it was at age 7 where I had to brush with life and death.
Yeah, man, because that's vertical.
Oh,
that's some serious damage there.
Yeah, and I got lucky because there's this thing called a hematoma, which is a collection of blood. And I hate to tell this story like this, but it's real. And a 7-year-old had to experience this. But if not for the blood collecting and not bursting open, I would have died.
Yeah.
There's no question I would have died, and so I try to tell people, you see my warmth, you see my smile, that's real. That never is fake, because I appreciate my seconds and my breath, and I appreciate the fact that I had all these extra years on earth. Really, that was age 7. I'm 48 now, so another.
Fuck you, you're 48.
I'm 48, yeah, man.
Wow, man. No,
yeah.
I thought, Jesus,
48, man.
You look great for 48. Sir.
Thank you, brother.
I was going to say, you should say that your good life was carved out of a rusty nail. Or some metaphor.
It could be. It could be.
Right? The rustiest, crappiest thing made everything just better. Give you a better perspective.
And I think that's how I view it. Like, I view that this gave me a chance to, that one thing. Yeah, it make a good like headline or like a good,
it's one of those
book.
valleys in a movie, right? When you go down, right? It's the high then the low, or the low then the high.
It's totally, you know what it is? It's totally like I was talking about with the storytelling. Here's this happy kid. He's enjoying life. He's a good kid. He's everything. He's got good parents. Everything's great. And then he cuts his wrist.
Right open on fucking.
And then it goes up and down from there. and here I am now. Like,
well, you answered the question I want to ask, which is like, because this is all about Manitobans making movies, and I dubbed the Manitoban, all right, you're Jersey, right? But I dubbed you. We could talk Sopranos for hours, I'm sure, but you can tell me all the inaccuracies about that show.
My neighbor is based off my neighbor, but that's a whole other story.
That's a whole other podcast.
Yeah, it's a whole other podcast, man. I shouldn't even be talking about that.
Yeah. No, both of us.
Oh yeah, let's cut that out.
I've seen. That's okay. No names, no foul. So I'm glad we got into that because there is, and everybody from. I've talked to few, but the few that I've talked to, it's community, it's hustle, it's talent, it's knowing. It's almost like, hey, we know where we are. We know we're in this cold asshole of the world, but fuck you. Despite that, we can film in it. We can hunt gear around in it. We can make. We can get Henry Cavill here for shit. We can get Sir Ben Kingsley here. We can get J-Lo here. We can get Philip Seymour Hoffman here. People will go, I'm not shooting a movie there. We can get Walken here. Christopher Walken was here last.
Yeah.
Like guys playing fucking Percy and Monsanto. Like, so there's a reason for it.
Yeah.
And if we can help make a little bit more noise for it, then I feel like I'm doing something with this whole show.
Well, I will say this much. Like, one of the good things that I love about this community is you don't have like you go to Toronto, for example, and like, can you help me on set? And they're like, well, what are you going to give me? It's like most places, particularly like even the US, like that's why, that's a whole other animal in itself. Like being in the US, it's such a I'm not religious, but like it's a blessing being here because like if you're in filmmaking and you're trying to make it in the US, think about it. You got the Hollywood machine. How are you going to compete with that? How are you going to compete with the established independent scene there that doesn't have government funding and support? There's no such thing as that kind of thing there. That doesn't exist.
Yeah, we have the National Film Institute in Canada for a reason, because Canada believes in its culture getting on screen. America just believes in selling you their culture
all the time,
their game show, right? And I don't mean to be offensive.
No, it's true, dude.
But the machine, it's turned into, it's too big, and you can't see the small and the good and the tiny and the unique for Avengers Assemble, right?
Yeah.
And that's nobody's fault. Well, it's somebody's fault, but it's capitalism's fault. But
totally.
You know what I mean, right?
Yeah. Well, you know what? You're not offending me. I'm a Black American. We don't get offended by that because we already knew the deal prior to Trump and everybody else.
A lot of shit longer.
Yeah. I mean, it's like everybody's seeing America for what it is now, and it's like, hey, that's only a small sliver of what Black America already knew. So, welcome to our world, kinda.
Welcome to Sunday at 10 a.m. in my world, basically, right? Like the easiest.
But for real, I mean, I've never been to like when I first got here, it was really hard trying to get a job because. You say, oh, I worked in this country and I've worked here and I've worked there. And, Winnipeg kind of has this attitude, kind of like, we're Winnipeg. We kind of got our own thing. But the thing I will say that's interesting is that once you're in, and when I was received by Winnipeg, once you're in, you're embraced, you're invited to all this stuff and you see all this stuff. And then people will work with, you see how many people will work. Once you're in, people will work with you. And they won't say, what are you going to give me? You should try to give them something like food at least, But people are so the people that are in and really support one another, they really give their time and energy on projects that they believe in, on people that they believe in. And I've never seen anything like this, honestly, in other places. And I genuinely, I value what I've learned and I've seen here, not only from the community level, but from the funding level, from just the community level, people coming out to support things. There's a real love thing going on with this community, and people need to know how dope this place is. And I'm a big cheerleader. I'm shouting from the rooftops. Winnipeg is my home. This is the place where I roam, and this is the space where I'm gonna be putting my dome, which is my head. So that's how it is.
I was like, is he gonna rhyme? Please
I was
rhyme.
rhyming.
Please
I'm rhyming.
So, couple fastballs here before I let you go.
Yo.
If you could edit for any director, who would you want to edit for the most?
Ooh.
Like, whose work that you like?
Nolan.
Nolan?
Yeah.
You like the time shift?
Oh,
you like
man,
the
I just
mind
love
messing?
it. I love that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He doesn't need anybody. He doesn't even need chairs on set, apparently. Did you
Yeah.
hear that story?
No.
He doesn't let anybody sit on set.
Oh, that's another reason why I don't want to be on set.
Yeah. Like, but then, like, when that came out, there's a picture of Robert Pattinson, like, lying down in a car. So it's like, fuck you. Don't tell me what I can and can't do.
Yeah.
So, all right, cool with that. I know what some of your favorite movies are. Did you ever, and this is something I'm doing because I love this guy when he talked to people about film. So I'm carrying it because he's passed away. But I'm sure you've seen at least one episode of Inside the Actors Studio.
Oh, no, I have not.
Okay, James Lipton. He was a theater professor at a university that I can never remember. And he had a show on PBS called Inside the Actors Studio, where the auditorium would fill up with writers, directors, everybody in film school. And they would bring in Johnny Depp. They would bring in Liam Neeson. They would bring in Sharon Stone. And he would interview them start to finish, kind of like what we're doing. And then he would ask 10 questions at the end of the show.
Got it.
And these are the funnest questions I know.
Yeah.
Bro.
Go for it. Oh, there you rhyming now. Yeah.
That's as far as it goes. So, first one is, what's your favorite word?
Wow, that's great. Let me think. Wow.
These are fastballs.
You know what? When I was in Australia this past year, my friend would always say gorgeous. It's gorgeous. Like that thing over there, that's gorgeous. Oh, that food, that treat was gorgeous. It's not something I say all the time. I know I say other stuff. Well, Bendrix. How about that? Benergy. Benergy is my favorite word.
There you go.
That's the word.
Benergy.
No
I
doubt.
can clearly see why.
Yeah.
There's a certain set of energy coming off you. What's your least favorite word?
Loser. I know somebody who says it all the time, and it sickens me to my stomach. Loser, because I don't see all human beings that way. I think everybody has a story. You gotta, you can't be going around saying stuff like that.
It's just an uninspiring word.
Yeah, I hate that word. Absolutely.
Now this is in no way, shape, or form how it's to be taken, but what turns you on? What gets you excited? What makes you, like, for life, right? Like what?
Yeah, I could have gone that way too. What turns? Oh, music, man.
Yeah.
Oh, without a doubt. Like, I'll tell you a very, very quick sliver of a story.
Yeah.
I'm at home. It's raining. It's a little slight drizzle. The window's open. My partner's making some meal, and I got woken up by this wonderful tune. And this happened more than once. And I think because I don't get high or drink or smoke or anything, so this is the closest thing I think, other than skating, this is probably the closest thing I have to getting high. And so like hearing music out of a slumber that is just memorable, and I'll never forget like those memories. Like music is the killer for, if you want to like get me, be like, hey Ben, check this track out.
Got it, dude. Totally. What turns you off?
Losers. No. Let me see. I really, really can't handle when people are closed-minded. We live in a culture where, again, you have, people like who don't understand the LGBT community. They don't understand the diversity in life and things like that. The people like closed-mindedness and ignorance, is like my shit. I can't handle that stuff, man.
It drives me nuts because I mean, I don't want to get preachy because this thing's about movies and not about me. It's about you guys, but it irks the shit out of me. Like, I don't care. I don't care skin color. I don't care sexual preference. I don't care. In fact, I want to learn about it because my privilege and my existence, it's been very sheltered. I had a mother who didn't let me watch The Simpsons. So if you can only imagine if I wasn't allowed The Simpsons, how much life I wasn't allowed to experience.
I couldn't watch The Breakfast Club, man.
Okay, maybe we had the same mother.
Yeah, we have a similar mom.
Or our mothers knew each other.
Yeah,
they took parenting tips.
Yeah.
But so I don't give a shit. And I remember it was, and this is just what's so shitty about it is that movies, music, food. Pride myself on being some poor man's Anthony Bourdain, where I'm using movies to bridge culture and have conversations with people and learn about people because we all love them, right? So it's really easy. And that's the theme of the podcast, which is like we're the assholes in the backyard screaming about superpowers and stuff and arguing the most asinine shit. But we're strangers to each other, yet movies are what made us talk. So I just remember watching, like, just to bring back from earlier, I remember watching Queer as Folk. I remember watching The L Word and being like so poorly fascinated by it because like it just wasn't around in my childhood. And I hate that I was fascinated by it because it shouldn't even be something you're fascinated by. It just should be something. And if it was in movies more, it wouldn't be a thing. It would just be.
Yeah, it's exposure, right?
Yeah.
Like if you're not exposed to other stuff, how can you possibly know? And then when you get like, there's a movie called The Namesake, and it's like a journey of this guy from India and his kid, and it's like it's an amazing, beautiful, freaking film, and like I never saw India from that perspective. I didn't even know much. I can't remember
exactly,
when I saw it, but like man, it was like such a moving film. It's like we don't see that that kind of film very often. It's like bring more of that.
Yeah. Because it's not like life isn't happening somewhere else. It's not like inspiration isn't happening in India. Like it's probably happening more because there's billions of people there. So like yeah, it's just about exposure and it's about forgetting sometimes that it's about dollars and cents and like one for commerce, one for art, one maybe two for art, one for commerce sometimes, right? Yeah. Like because that's where you'll get respected. I think like if a studio's doing that or if a theater company's doing that or if they're doing that's where I'm like, okay, I'll pay attention to you that much more on the days you're only playing dumb shit because you've got the balls to play shit that maybe people are going to call you out for.
Sure.
And that's not going to make everybody happy. But that's, I digress. Back to the questions. Back to you. Please don't die, iPad, because that's where they all are. No, we're good. Okay. What sound or noise do you love? And I'm not letting you use music.
Oh. It's really funny. We were watching The Cat. I was telling you about it earlier, and this is something I didn't know that they did. And we were like at night or whenever like my partner would give the cat a treat, the cat would go burp, burp. And it's like, what? When did you become a bird? Like, what is that? And so it's like really funny because like my partner's name is her last name is Bray, and I sometimes go burp, burp, burp. When I come in the house, I do that sometimes. So yeah, I guess that's one of my favorite sounds.
Dude, it makes perfect sense. You haven't seen it, but it's around the corner right now. Behind me is a 35-pound cat.
I saw the cat. Oh, there's another cat?
There's a 35-pound cat in this apartment right now. Oh. He's sleeping because that's what 35-pound animals do. They don't move. But when he purrs and you put your head, you can you can sleep on him. Like you can fall asleep to.
Yeah.
Just constant.
It's a nice noise. I know.
So I understand the little chirps and things that cats do. No, I totally get it. What sound or noise do you hate?
You know what's annoying? Scratching the chalkboard.
Yeah, it's classic.
Like anybody would say that. I mean, is there another one that would be bad? Yeah, I mean that's pretty bad. That's a terrible one.
I think, yeah. No, I still I'm okay. Like, you're a traditionalist in that sense. It's fine. It is universally. It is I still can't do it. If someone runs fingers down a chalkboard, it's not like 38 years later I'm used to it.
Yeah.
It's something that is very foreign to your ears.
What? Or the cracking of ice where you're skating on it. Oh my God!
There you go.
How about that? Let's throw that in there.
Yeah.
Too.
No, I'm fine with that. Yeah. Cause and it's like worse. But it depends though where you are. I would imagine that like if you're going away from land, the cracking behind you is the worst.
Oh.
But if you're like going towards land and the cracking's behind you, you're like, oh, it's just getting shallower.
Well, yeah.
But like if you're like 30 feet out, oh
it's
my
like,
God.
Oh.
That's not proper.
Yeah.
What profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
What other kind of profession?
Yeah.
Well, my heart is really in music. I just think it's it's a cutthroat industry. I would love to have been a musician. Though I do love ice skating. I'm a total ice skating head, and,
sure.
and I'm getting into roller skating now. But is that a profession? I don't know.
Me and you should go do a bro date, and you can teach me how to ice skate.
Are you kidding? I'm all about it, dude. I was rollerblading early, like roller skating. Right? I roller skate, rollerblade, skateboard. I've done all of it.
Do roller derby?
Don't do roller derby. But I mean, I come from a traditional track and field, cross country. But I jumped into skating, right?
Sure, yeah.
And yeah, like I love skating, right? So
kick, push, man.
But if yeah, that's a good track.
Yeah.
But if I was gonna choose a profession, other than music and other than filmmaking, that's a good one. I want to be like Paris Hilton.
Oh, you want to just do fuck all?
I want to be. You know what? I'm not a person in front of the screen, but you know what? Actually, people keep saying, "Hey, you have that personality. You should try to do stuff." And it'd be cool to be a personality, I suppose. Like, I guess in a way I could if I put my energy towards it. But that's not where my main focus is. But it would be something fun. That would be kind of cool.
You just actually made me realize something, that when they say that those people are like Paris Hilton or the Kardashians, their personality, it's the politest way to say that they're the worst personality. Right? Like everybody else gets like radio personality or film personality, right? Like you get your industry title beforehand, but when you're just personality, probably means you're a dumb bitch.
Yeah, totally. But you know what? Doing, it's not like I can't do it, right? But I would love to go and travel and do like a travel podcast or do a technology podcast, kind of like Marcus, whatever that Marquez Brownlee. Like, I love what that guy does. Like, I would love to do a Marquez Brownlee version of travel. That's what I would like to do.
I'm going to tell you some stuff before we go that you should. I'll get you to dig into. I think you'll like it.
Yeah.
Last two questions. What's your favorite curse word? You can say whatever you want.
Oh wow.
We're explicit. We have a staple.
It's so funny. My father used to call people gutter rats, but that's not a curse word. Let's see. I mean, everybody says fuck though, man. Fuck.
It could be a combination.
Oh man. And see, I have a potty mouth, right? Not like I'm not really bad. Like if I get like on the vibe, like if I'm freestyling, for example, I'm not throwing out curse words all the time or anything, but like,
So you're not a potty mouth by?
I'm because most people, when they see me and they talk to me, they know me to be a very respectful person. But if they hear me curse, they're like, "Wow, I never knew you cursed." I'm like, my father heard me curse in my sleep once. I don't know. Let me see. I mean, everybody says fuck though, man. I mean, and like,
When I say curse word, I mean you can throw in like chota. You can throw in.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You can throw in all the dirty, filthy. Like it's blue language. Essentially.
Oh man. There's a song. Oh, I'm not even gonna say it because I'm very very careful about like I never use the B word ever. I never use the N word ever. Like it's just something, and I never use the C word ever. Not in in casual conversations, anger, nothing. Like even if I don't like the person, I don't do it.
I'm impressed by that actually.
Yeah, I try to be, you are what you eat, you are what you speak, right? So I try to be careful about like saying certain words and putting them in the world. But like, yeah, word fuck, like everybody says that. I'm comfortable with it. Like, yo, fuck this, I don't know.
Fuck this B and the C.
Well, I wouldn't say it. I'm careful about even saying that.
No, I know, but that's how you say it.
Yeah.
Without
like
saying
I would
F the B and the C.
Like it's funny because like when I'm listening to hip hop, like because I never liked the misogyny in hip hop, right? And so whenever they talk,
it's very redundant.
It's ridiculous. It makes me sick actually. But like there's some brilliant in hip hop, right? But like it's hard. When they use the N word, I'm just like I can't even say it, and then when they use the B word, I can't even say it. When they say it at a male, it doesn't bother me as much, but even still, I don't say it. So, yeah, man. I mean, I guess I'm not like the master of the curse.
That's something to be proud of. That's we can moving on.
But I curse, but it's just like I'm trying to think like what is it? Fuck, damn. I don't know.
Sure, fuck them. You know what? My car got stolen.
Oh, I got it. I got it.
Okay.
I got it.
Okay.
I got it. Okay, you'll love this one.
Yes.
University. This guy was a Crip. When I went to a black university, and this guy said to me one day, he said, "Man, I'm leaving school. Oh man, that sucks." He said, "I want you to remember," and he talked with a raspy voice like this. He said, "Ben, I want you to remember one thing. Everybody, motherfucker. Everybody, that plant over there, motherfucker. That chair over there, motherfucker. That man over there looking at us outside out there is a motherfucker. So everything a motherfucker. Everybody, motherfucker. That's my favorite line. I've been saying that for years. Everybody, motherfucker."
You nailed it.
That's it.
I love it. I want to record you saying that. I want to use that soundbite for something on the show.
Please. Everybody, motherfucker.
Yes. Okay, last question. When you die, assuming all things being equal, we all get to go to heaven. Pearly gates open up. God says what? What's the first thing you want to hear him say? And I will tell you what Brad said after this, which is my favorite one so far.
What? I have to say what?
What do you want? What's the first thing you want to hear God say to you when you get to heaven? It could be anything you want.
Why everybody, motherfucker?
That's perfect. That's absolutely perfect. Kobe.
Yeah, I mean it's my big thing is like I'm not religious, but when I hear people talking about this and that, and I'm just like, yo, man, why is everything for me? Why is everything male centric in the Bible? Why is when women bring life into this world? I don't understand that for a second. Like, how is that possible?
You know what, man? I was a shitty Catholic growing up because I ended every sentence with "But why, Father?"
Nice,
right? Like I just and maybe private wine tastings. No, I'm kidding. I'm totally kidding. My priest was the shit. My priest loved Star Trek. My priest was from Mobile, Alabama, actually.
Nice.
So like super cool dude. Used to go to wrestling with my priest, actually.
What?
Yeah, I know. It's weird. Anyways, so I do understand if when you're standing outside of a club and there's like there's a big lineup of people, but nobody's allowed to come in.
Yeah.
I equate that to religion. You need to tell me what's so good on the other side of that rope.
Yeah.
And I'll stand in line and I'll wait. But if there's no selling feature or proof that, it's going off in that fucking club, I don't want to wait in your lineup for 4 or 5, 6 30 years before I get an answer and get to see inside the club. But if you open up the door and you're like, look at how much fun's inside that club, I'll be like, cool, I'm in. I'll wait. I don't want to, they don't even need to taste.
What I would do is I would be like, hey, I got a camera. I'm the cameraman. And then no, just go ahead.
Yeah, you just
jump right in front of. That's what I used to do all the time.
I would imagine that saying that you're the guy with the camera would get you into because everybody wants to be in front of a camera.
Pretty much.
Fuck, that's funny. Okay, so we're gonna tie this up because this has been this has been a good time. I've enjoyed this very much, Bendrix.
No doubt.
Where can people find out about all the information for the 48 that's coming up in the spring of 2021?
So the website is the48filmfest.ca. So that's the THE 48 the number film and fest as in festival, but fest.ca. And yeah, you can all social media, everything's on there. You can find me everywhere. I'm all over the place. So, look up Bendrix and be like, oh, that's the guy, But yeah, you can find all the information out there. And also, if you want to do the Manitoba's Making Movies, Music, and More meetup, if you want to meet, I'm thinking like the way I want to do it, because we just started, the first Saturday of every month is when we're going to try to be doing it at 1 p.m. because I think 1 p.m. is a good time.
It's a great time.
Yeah, on a Saturday, people are like, okay, I got some time here.
Yeah.
For an hour and a half to spend and meet people.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of what the vibe is. It's free. Anybody can join it. And you can find that on the website as well. And it's on Facebook, but you can find it through the website.
We will put it on our website too. We'll put a link to it so that people can find it for all your information. For anybody who guests on the show, we just moved and we have all these new places to actually share guest information, which I'm super happy about. So, dude, this has been a slice.
No doubt.
Thank you for coming to the living room.
Yeah.
I have been Michael Petro, as always, and this has been
Bendrix. And I love your space, man.
It's meant to be. Shauna did everything in her power. I don't send enough photos out into the world of this place. I'll take some more and show everybody what they're missing. It's supposed to be weird and inspiring and kooky. Like if you walk in here, you either want to read something, write something, make something, watch something. Like it's supposed to entice all the creative senses, I think. From the outside Christmas tree that's like a birch tree with lights on it to my pop collection to an R2D2 to anything in between.
To the elephant, the stuffed animal elephant head.
Yeah. Okay, so dude, look up. You see the water buffalo?
Oh yeah.
All right, then there's the llama right behind you.
I see it.
There's the zebra up top.
Yeah.
There's the rhino over here. Look behind me. There's a rhino with a gold horn.
Oh yeah, no, I saw that one.
Yeah.
Is that Bush?
No, that's Bourdain. Actually, that's a picture of Anthony Bourdain.
With my glasses, I can't see anything.
Yeah, no, that's him.
Oh
Yeah. We were big fans of him in this house.
Yeah.
But that water buffalo, I did a video for, and I should talk to you about this after. Maybe you can give me some tips on how to do videos because it's just my inability. But I was doing a video for the Manitoba Podcast Festival, and that head was in the background, and I was like, "Oh shit, that's not a real head. That's from Schreimer's greenhouse." Because I didn't want anybody getting mad at me. I put fucking like I'm Donald Trump Jr.
Yeah.
Going to Africa, killing shit, and putting on my fucking wall. It's the last thing I want to be.
It's funny because we totally missed the whole idea of talking about the iPhone, and that's a whole other conversation.
You know what?
Another day.
I'm glad we got your story on editing because editing has been like it was a surprise in disguise because I didn't really know where we were going to go with this. So, but I would love to have you back on about making movies with things that you have, right? Like how to monetize online and how to get on YouTube and make a channel and make all that stuff. So I would love to have you back for that if you're.
Oh, that's not a problem. That'd be fun.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's a whole other conversation, a whole other world. You know?
No, totally. It's in the palm of your hand. It's designed to do it. So fucking learn, people. I'll learn a thing. Maybe we'll do. Yeah, you know what? You can teach me some things. We'll have the guys over.
Simple.
And then we'll film you filming, teaching us how to make shit.
Yeah, you'll be like, whoa, you could do that. Yep, you could do all that stuff. You could put high quality value. You could do wireless mics. You could do lighting. You could do all that stuff with the little tiny smartphone you got.
I'm fucking stoked.
Oh, easy.
Anyways, like I said, I've been Michael Petro. This has been Williams, Bendrix, and we are gone.